Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And before we do anything today, first off, I just want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody. Unfortunately, there was no News Dose yesterday. I do apologize about that. But if you missed my community post about it, I've actually been dealing with some kind of illness this week. I've been sick pretty much since Monday, but it really hit its climax yesterday. And unfortunately, I just didn't have it in me to put a video together. But seriously, though, thank you to absolutely everybody who wished me well. It means the world to me that you all care, and that also that you all were just very understanding about the situation. You all are just the absolute best, so I just wanted to say thank you all for that. Now, I am still sick today, but, you know, I feel good enough, I think. My voice, thankfully, is still intact and everything. And, yeah, there's things happening in the world of gaming right now that I wanted to talk about before we moved into the weekend. There is a rather strange story making the rounds regarding Xbox. People are kind of freaking out about this, though it might not be what it initially looks like. So we're going to get into that, as well as a few games that are receiving glowing reception right now. I mean, let me tell you, it's a great time to be a gamer. 2023 has definitely started out with a bang. First, though, let's go and get to our first topic of the day, being about the future of Sonic. We learned previously through Sega's fiscal year report that Sonic Frontiers had sold 2.9 million units worldwide. We talked about that, I want to say earlier this week, might have been last, not entirely sure about that, but this sounds really good on paper and everything. Well, now Sega has officially confirmed that this is indeed a big success. In an investor's Q&A, they said this: the number of units sold greatly exceeded our original estimation. We will continue to sell over the long term based on sales strategies such as pricing, promotions, and the development of further DLC. So, there you have it. Sonic Frontiers has, in fact, been a big success for Sega, which is not only good for this particular title, but also for the future of this franchise. They did note that the next Sonic game will have a higher budget, so do look forward to that, but that's kind of the thing here. Frontiers was really meant to be an evolution for the 3D Sonic games, a gateway into what the future can hold, and well, it appears it paid off for them in more than one way. Yes, it sold well, but also fan reception has been quite high. In fact, this is something else that Sega touched up on by saying, it's true that the Metacritic score was slightly lower than we expected, but the user score was very high. With that, we believe we have found a title that is widely accepted by a lot of people around the world. So I thought that was interesting for them to answer here, and truthfully, I personally think Sonic Frontiers is one of those situations where critics just got it wrong. I look at the score, which is a 71 on Metacritic, and I just completely disagree with that. Yes, it has pop-in problems. It's very evident. But outside of that, it's just a really solid 3D collectathon platformer that I'd recommend to pretty much anybody. Not just for Sonic fans, but for fans of this genre as a whole. It's just a really good 3D platformer. I don't do this often unless I'm really enjoying the game, but I actually did end up getting a platinum trophy for this game because that's how much I enjoyed it. So yeah, I think critics definitely got this one wrong, and its glowing fan reception just kind of says it all. Either which way though, the future of Sonic could not be any brighter than it is right now. Now, we also got an update for E3 out of all things as well. This came as a little bit of a surprise, but after several key cancellations, E3 isn't completely dead after all. During Ubisoft's earnings call, they said if E3 happens, we will be there, and we will have a lot of things to show. Now, the key word here is if E3 happens. They're not flat out saying that they absolutely will be there. But interestingly enough, ReedPop did later on fully confirm E3 is definitely happening this year. They told The Verge, E3 is full speed ahead, and we are pleased with the progress and engagement from the community. As we have confirmed exhibitors, we are eager to share more as details get cemented and participants ready their own detailed plans. So by all indication, there will in fact be some participants for E3, including, yes, Ubisoft. Unfortunately, we don't know who exactly is participating just yet, but as for Ubisoft themselves, they're certainly an interesting participant, I'd say. I feel like after some of their recent struggles, they need to build some hype for their future games. They need some goodwill right now, and really just a strong showing. Now, as for what they could possibly show here, Just based on some of the things that we currently know about and some of the rumors that are going around, they do have multiple Assassin's Creed games in development. I'm sure that will have a presence here. That is their staple franchise. Then there's the Splinter Cell remake. Hopefully we'll see something on that. There's also Sands of Time and the rumored 2D Prince of Persia. Maybe one of those will show up, possibly both. Then also a new Far Cry supposedly in development, though that still sounds like it's a ways off. I'm not sure if they'll actually show that one just yet. Then there's also Beyond Good and Evil and even Skull and Bones, but I mean, who knows if we're ever going to see those games or not. Either which way, though, just knowing E3 is returning in some capacity, that's highly exciting, and we'll see how it turns out later this year, especially when we start to hear about all of those different participants. Let's go talk about this Xbox situation, though, and this is in regards to Redfall. So basically what's happening is that somebody on Resetera spotted that the Bethesda support page said the physical Xbox copies of Redfall are Xbox Play Anywhere codes, which can be played on both the Xbox Series X and S and the Microsoft Xbox app on PC. So a lot of people were freaking out about this because the way it reads, it almost sounds like the retail version that you buy in stores won't come with a disc, but rather just a code. Now, that would be a huge blow to physical media if true, and if anything, the wording here is absolutely horrendous on Bethesda's part. More on that in just a second, but Gamefly actually responded to some of the outcry by confirming that they are in fact receiving copies of Redfall. Now, the reason that's noteworthy here is because they're a rental service, and they can only rent games that includes a disc. So they responded by saying, "You're misreading the description. It's describing the codes that are on the disc. Most X games are just codes which unlock the download for your console. We're renting Redfall." Now, what they're saying here can bring up a whole different conversation about game preservation in the future. But as for the question about whether or not Redfall comes with a disc, seemingly is answered here. Even still, though, I've seen some fans out there still a little cautious if this is confirmation or not. And, well, that actually takes me back to Bethesda's horrendously worded support page. They have since updated it, and it now says this: "The physical retail version of the Redfall Xbox Standard Edition does come with a Blu-ray disc. The Byteback upgrade can be purchased separately. Within the Byteback upgrade, you will find a code that grants you the Byteback upgrade in-game items. Owners of the Xbox physical version of Redfall who wish to buy the Byteback upgrade can do so either digitally or at participating retailers. The physical retail version of the PC version does not come with a disc of the game," which is pretty much as expected. "The Xbox Standard Edition is the only SKU that provides players with a physical disc of the game." So there you go. It's absolutely 100% confirmed. The standard retail version of Redfall does in fact come with a disc. I mean, I still think the way modern physical media works brings up a lot of questions about future game preservation, and this entire topic didn't exactly help, to say the least. But if you did hear somewhere that Redfall wasn't coming with a disc, that assumption is not true. It does come with a disc. Now, at the same time, though, all the confusion that ensued today, truthfully, was Bethesda's fault. I don't know why their original support page was worded the way it was. I mean, you can see how people would get confused by that. At the same time, though, I can also kind of say that people jump to conclusions a little too fast. They should probably just wait for an actual confirmation. But thankfully, it is fixed now, I suppose. I am rather curious about how you all feel about this, though. I mean, even now that we know that Redfall comes with a disc, which is great and all, this allows you to lend your games out, allows you to trade them, sell them, and all things like that. But just knowing how modern physical media works, I'd like to know how you all feel about it, especially if you purchase physical games still. I mean, I'm a big physical collector myself, and really, if you think about it, most games today comes with a massive day one update, or they're shipped with problems that they fix later on. I mean, look at something like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as an example. We're still waiting for that game to be fixed, hopefully later this month, but I kind of want to know what you physical collectors out there think about the way today's games are distributed. Let me know in the comments below. Getting that out of the way, though, we do actually have some really exciting new games to talk about. There's actually 3 games that I want to talk about here, and that's because each one of these games are getting high praise ahead of their release or up on their release. This is actually what I really wanted to talk about today, just to kind of let you all know what to look forward to as we head into the weekend. So we'll just go ahead and go in order of release here, but right away, Wild Hearts is getting pretty good reviews. It currently has an 80 overall score on Metacritic with 35 reviews. Sounds like this is a very well executed game in the monster hunting genre, which I personally think is needed. While there were a lot of these games back on the PlayStation Vita, it doesn't really feel like we get many of these high-profile monster hunting games on home consoles. So I do think that Monster Hunter needs more competition in that regard. You all have probably heard me say this like 100 times before, but I want to go ahead and say it again here. Competition breeds excellence. And hopefully, with Wild Hearts being a good monster hunting game with its own spin on the genre, maybe, just maybe, we can see the two push each other going forward. Of course, we still need to see if Wild Hearts has commercial success or not. But yeah, if you do like this genre, you might want to go and check out Wild Hearts as it is out today. Next up here, though, is for you Yakuza fans out there, myself included. Now, this should probably come as zero surprise whatsoever, but Like a Dragon Ishin is proving to be yet another good entry for the franchise. It currently has an 82 overall score with 43 reviews. Now, this is a spin-off that's been available in Japan for about a decade now, but it looks like the wait was well, and I mean well worth it. It pretty much has about everything that you'd expect from the series. Over-the-top action, it's got an engrossing story, and also an atmospheric world to play in. I mean, if you like Yakuza, this is a no-brainer. Pick it up when it releases on February 21st. In the meantime, though, Sega right now seems like they can do no wrong whatsoever. They've been doing a lot of good things recently. Sonic, as we talked about earlier, but also Persona, and now Yakuza. That's a great lineup of games. The last game that I want to talk about, though, is Octopath Traveler 2. Speaking of Sega's recent success, Square Enix looks like they just released two high-quality back-to-back titles with Theater Rhythm, and now Octopath Traveler 2, which currently has an 84 overall score on Metacritic with 28 reviews. Now, based on what critics are saying, Octopath Traveler 2 is basically an upgrade in almost every imaginable way compared to its predecessor. The big thing about this game for me, though, is in regards to how its narrative works. If you played the first game, yeah, it's got excellent combat and all, but, and here was his problem, its story was a mixed bag in how disconjointed its characters felt. I mean, on one side, they accomplished their goal in telling 8 unique stories in a single game, and several of those stories were highly interesting. But at the same time, the characters didn't really interact all that much, and its story, because of that, felt less impactful in that sense. The good news here, though, is that it, however, does seem like they addressed that in the sequel. So if you're like me, and if you were hoping for a more cohesive, grand, overarching story, it sounds like that we are going to get that with Octopath Traveler 2. Either which way, definitely a lot of games to look forward to over the next week or so, and this is in addition to games like Metroid Prime Remastered and Hogwarts Legacy, which released last week. All I can really say here is, yeah, it's a fun time to be a gamer. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, would you be more likely to subscribe to PlayStation Plus Extra/Premium if Sony included their first-party games 1 year after their release? And actually, a good portion of you did say yes, you would. 34% of you said yes, 47% said no, while 10% of you said that you're already subscribed. So that's actually pretty good results here for Sony. I mean, that would be a big jump in subscriber count, and it just kind of goes to show you that they don't necessarily have to do day one releases. No, it won't be necessarily as enticing, but even if they ensured staggered releases for their first-party games, that still means that fans will consistently have something to look forward to. I mean, yeah, they'll have to be a little bit more patient and everything, but based on the results here, plenty of you all absolutely would be willing to wait. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.